So we are going to prepare a gram stain using solid medium, from a solid medium. So we have our slide, of course with label, so I'm going to take from prepare using Micrococcus luteus. I'm putting it on the bench top so we can actually see what we're doing. So I'm going to add a loop full of bacteria because it's solid. Okay, a loop full of a loop full of water, not bacteria. A loop full of water because it's from a solid medium. So once you've added your water, next you transfer your bacteria. Again, we are transferring from a solid, so we added a drop of water to create a suspension. We collect. We don't need a lot of bacteria. And then we use that to create a suspension. And then we will see this milky suspension as we keep mixing our bacteria with the drop of water. Right, so you should be able to see this milky suspension. So now we let it air dry. I put it next to the heat so it can accelerate the drying process. Now you can see how this one is already dried. So you can see this milky suspension, the film of bacteria onto the slide. Once this is done, we need to fix our smear. So these are smears that I prepared, and now to fix it, we pass it through the flame 3 times. Remember, fixing the slide helps to attach bacteria to the slide, also kills bacteria that are not dead, and it also helps with the staining process. So now that I have fixed it, the next step is to apply our stain. We have Crystal Violet is our primer stain. So Crystal Violet will stain all cells onto the slide, whether they're gram positive or gram negative. It's a purple dye, so everything will be purple. So you stain, you flood that area with Crystal Violet, and you let it sit for 1 minute. After 1 minute, you're going to rinse it out, and then you're going to add the mordant. From the mordant you rinse, then you're going to decolorize, and then afterwards, of course, you end with your counter stain. So for the purpose of demonstration, let's say this is 1 minute. We now need to rinse our slide. We can rinse with tap water, and that should not be a problem. Okay? Just make sure that the pressure from the water is from the tap. It's not so great that it will wash out your bacteria. So now we've done our primary stain, and everything looks purple. Okay, everything looks purple. Next is to add the mordant. The mordant is iodine, grams iodine. So we flood it with the mordant, and you let it sit for again 60 minutes. Actually 30 seconds to 60 minutes, that should be fine. Alright, 60 minutes. The grams iodine will enable the dye to bind more strongly to the cells so that we can eventually get proper results. Again, for purpose of demonstration, let's say this is 1 minute. So now we're going to rinse, low pressure. Okay, so we rinse. And now observe, it's a little darker than before. After the first stain, it was purple. Now you can see it appears darker than before. This is the top. I know this is BS, that's the top. The next is we need to decolorize. So we decolorize with grams decolorizer, which is acetone and alcohol, 25% acetone. All right, so now we could do it several ways. We could pour or we could dip. I'd rather do the dipping. So I'm going to dip until I see no more purple running off the slide. So I'm dipping several times until you see very little purple running from your slide. Okay, I think that's good enough. Find out the next step is to rinse. Again, low pressure. You rinse. And then, after decolorizing, of course, keep the alcohol away from fire. After decolorizing, we add our counter stain, safrani. Now, don't forget, crystal violet will stain all cells, gram-positive or gram-negative. The decolorizer will decolorize or remove the dye from the gram-negatives. So if this is gram-negative, you need to see it. You need a way to see it. Therefore, you add the safranin. Okay, you flood with safranin. Let it sit again for 1 minute. And after 1 minute, you rinse with water, and then you remove excess water from the slide, and you're ready to use the microscope. Once again, for demonstration purposes, I will go ahead and do the rinsing. Okay, so we rinse. So we've decolorized. And now we can go ahead and blot the excess water. I'm just going to use paper towel to do that. We could have used blotting paper, that's fine. But paper towel will do a job as well. So now we've done the gram stain using solid culture.